You can't take it with you when you're gone, so how do you make the most of it while you are here? It's time for Your Money Matters with Sam and Dieter from Harness Financial.
Sam and Dieter, okay, you're both in the studio today. Nice to see you again. Wrapped up warm because it's a cold Wellington morning. Where do you want to go today? Take it away.
Thanks, Sean. Well, today we want to go back to basics. We want to go back to the beginning of financial planning, of sorting out your financial life. And really that comes down to managing your budget and managing your bank accounts well. Dieter, something you like to talk about is how one of the biggest problems you see with customers that you work for in the financial planning process is that they don't tend to have their bank accounts managed well.
And I think it's actually a lot broader than that. When I first arrived in the country, I worked at a charity helping people get out of debt and learn how to work with money. There's a general issue across the country and probably across the world on the inability to manage one's bank account. And it's pervasive. And it's driven by the inability to delay gratification. The new phone comes out, we've got to have it. The new this, that comes out. The environment. I mean, you can literally tap a phone or watch anything and money comes out of you. The other part of it is just the society, so advertising. I mean, we are advertising here, which, but it's still, everything is in your face. You've got to have this. Your life won't be complete unless you have this thing. Insert that here. And that never lasts because there's another thing after that, which you have to have.
Yeah. I've got a really good strategy for that, though. I just don't go shopping. And might be a bloke thing. I figure if you're going to walk into a shop or a shopping mall, you're probably going to end up buying something just because that's what they're there for. So one thing to do is do not expose yourself. I also want to ask another question if you both hit. Not looking at your bank account or your bank statement doesn't make the money grow, does it?
No, generally what we do now is we tend to accrue little charges that come off without even realising it. So you subscribe to this, that or the other. So when you actually do look at your bank account, you suddenly realise, hang on, I'm paying for this random little app every month. And I've done this for 10 years or... It adds up. So knowledge is power.
It's kind of hip to say when you're asked, do you want your receipt? Oh, no, I don't want my receipt. But that actually plays into this whole mentality where, you don't really double check anymore.
That's really interesting, that observation, because when I am spending personally, I don't worry about the receipt. But whenever I'm on business... Because my business is accountable and it's accountable to the directors and the shareholders, I always get a receipt for business. But I never do personal. And it's a funny delineation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you had to think about the last time you went into a shop to buy some groceries, did you actually look at the total on the till before you paid?
No.
So it could have been anything.
And then once you did pay, did you just have a quick squiz on the receipt and make sure that you actually... you got what you paid for?
It's literally put it down, swipe a card, walk out, no clue, no sense of loss. Back in the days when we had cash, which is a very, very good tool, you put down $50, you got 20 back, you lost something.
Yeah.
A card, you put the card down, you take the card back. There's no actual physical sense of loss.
That's a really fascinating point. Let's just go back one step, though. So we're talking about the details here. You've got to start, though, haven't you, with where you want to end up, no matter what your strategy is. You've got to actually have a goal.
You sound like a financial planner.
Yeah. Well, I never ran a business before. And we've been going through a process at the platform, reassessing after 3 years what our goals are and where we're getting them. Do we need to reassess that? And I might say in my personal financial life, I haven't got enough money to live on, which isn't much of a strategy, to be honest. How do you help people set those goals?
Well, the first thing is the easiest question to start with is not what do you want, but what don't you want? Because we can all very easily talk about things we don't want. But once you've got that out the way, is then to think about 5 years' time, where do you want to be, and work backwards. We struggle to look forward. Most of us live day to day. We struggle to think about the future. So there has to be a process to elicit that out of the mind and figure out what's really important. And then really get, the old strategy of SMART goals, because to give you another sort of small comparison, if you go into a shop to buy some things and you've got a list, you'll generally walk out with just those things. You go into the shop without a list, you'll walk out of there with everything you didn't need.
You're just a potential retail victim.
Very
Casualty.
Yeah, that's why I hate shopping malls. That's just the people that try to take your money off you, aren't they? When you wander around.
Yeah.
You need a budget for life, right, though? That's the truth of it.
You do.
How many people have budgets for life, or people that come to you in the first instance have got a budget for anything?
Probably about 20%. And again, the issue with that budget is it's retrospective. It just tells you where money's gone. What doesn't help you is how do you actually know where money's going forward. So a budget is a good starting point. It's where you build your foundation. You allocate your different categories. What do you spend with your card? What do you have coming up directly off your bank account? All those sort of things. But how you then structure your accounts is how you build in that protection going forward. So a budget doesn't help unless you actually automate your banking structure going forward.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Your FPOS card, right, which we use, and really interesting your observation about you don't physically lose anything. There's kind of a strange psychological inhibition about using plastic money, using the card. Should you have a limited amount of money in that card if that's your daily transactional advice? Because at the moment, I'm just thinking about my accounts personally. I've only got 2 or 3. I've really simplified things. And all my money, all my sort of operable weekly money is just bang on my card. So there's no inhibition for me to just go crazy with the thing until my next pay cycle sort of thing. Do you need to change that? Do you need to actually budget what you put into your spending device?
That is spot on, because what happens is in your bank account, you mix in your surplus, you mix in your fixed expenses, your debit orders and all the rest of that all together. So you don't know when you're dipping into those other buckets. So if you do anything, if you take away anything from today's show, is separate the account to which you allocate your spending for tapping a card.
Yeah.
Only put in that account weekly what you need in there and what you budget for. If you do just that, you will start to build financial discipline.
So I ideally should have a central holding bank account. My daily spending should go to the FPOS card, and that should be all, so I can seriously budget that. Okay, because at the moment I see what's at the end of the 2-week cycle, and then I distribute. Okay, I've got it wrong. Important question for both of you. Do people get smarter at this as they get older, or do you end up sometimes with people my age and you just got to break their bad habits? Is there a natural or intrinsic kind of financial nous that is developed over time? Or do we just repeat doing dumb stuff until we talk to guys like you?
I think one of the sort of key moments in people's lives where they start thinking about this more seriously is when they come to buy a house.
Yeah.
Because they're sitting there with their mortgage broker or with their banker, and their banker's like, okay, so how much do you actually spend on, going to the pharmacy every month or going to the gym, how much do you spend on these regular subscriptions? And then you start looking at them and you're like, wow, I do actually spend a lot on these things. And then you start asking yourself, do you need to spend, so much on these things? Do you need to spend so much on games? Do you need to spend so much on food? Do you go out more than you need to? All those things.
Yep.
So as you get older, you do tend to, I suppose, be hit with more responsibility. You're looking after more people. You're looking after paying off a mortgage.
Yeah.
And so you start to become more self-aware. But if you can get your budget in order, in line with your plan as a younger person, someone in your 20s, someone in your 30s, then you're going to do better.
So this is really, when we're talking about basics today, it all comes back down to this level. Everything you want to do is based on those, and they're disciplines. I'd call them disciplines or common sense, but common sense, as we know, isn't that common. I'm really interested. Look, you both approachable guys. We've had lots of conversations. We get on well. But you must at times have to give people some hard truths. You must have to negotiate through people say, look, if you keep doing that, your life's going to end up being a bloody disaster. How do you do that? And I know it's a kind of personal question. How do you do it without being rude or really upsetting people?
Well, when you're sitting down with someone and you've taken the time to hear about their story and about their life and about what they're passionate about, and then you've drawn out from them their goals. You haven't given them their goals. You've drawn out those goals from them. And then you go through the budget and you identify that they're spending $3,000 a year on lotto.
Yeah. Well, that's a hell of an investment.
or 5,000, like we saw some time ago.
Yep. Yeah.
You say, hey, Sean, if you want to meet your goals.
Yeah. That you've identified to me, I haven't set for you. They're the goals that we've drawn out from you, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you want to stop spending $3,000 a year on lotto, because what's the chance of winning lotto, Dieter?
It's infinitesimal.
I still
Zero.
Guys, I still get peed off. They say lotto players. You're not players. You're literally buying a ticket in a lottery. There is no skill involved.
Yeah.
It is not a game.
Yeah.
It is a gamble. Pure and simple.
Totally, it is gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's low chance gambling, almost zero chance.
Look, I wanted to talk about that personal thing and the difficulties of that, because I think that is what you guys offer at Harness Financial. You're not an algorithm, you're not a computer program, and you're not AI. You're not a book. You are people who are talking to people about their futures, and I think that's the unique thing that you guys actually offer, why it's good to have you on the program. So what would you say to people, first step, because we've gone back to basics today, the first step, how do they take the first step with you guys?
Just book a call, book a meeting, come in and just have an initial chat. There's no obligation, there's no cost to do that. And we'll just start talking through the process. And just on that topic, there's a lot of mental health issue, a lot of stress, a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships break up because of this issue.
Yeah.
So, don't ignore it. Don't sweep it under the carpet.
Don't let it fester.
And it all blows up in your face, and you look back going, well, what happened? Have a proactive conversation.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, you walk away and be a little bit wiser about where to go. And if you then want to engage us to build a plan around it, that's great as well. But the whole point of what we're doing is also educating people in this country to have better outcomes.
Better lives. Actually better lives.
And in turn also be able to help other people more.
Yeah.
Because once you've sorted yourself out, you can be a better for society around you as well.
All right. Now, someone just said your thoughts on the Barefoot Investor book. Do you know anything about the Barefoot Investor book? What is that?
I have come across it. I'm not completely afraid with it. So we'll have to park it and come back to that one. But,
right.
But look, if you're not spending money on shoes, you're probably saving money.
Now, Justin is saying, can I organise a chat from Invercargill? I've got Justin's number. I'll write it down and I'll give it to you, and you can give him a ring straight after the show. If anyone else wants the hotline to the boys, send me a text and I'll pass your number on to them.
Customers in Invercargill are our favourite kind of customer.
Right. Do you go down there? Do you go down to Invercargill? Would you get on the plane and go and see someone in Invercargill?
We haven't yet, but we could. We could. We do a lot of video calls and phone calls for customers that are outside of Wellington. Yeah,
I've never been there.
All right.
So
well, you could go down to Invercargill, and then just whip up to Fairfax and have a look at Groper's Bush. Just an idea. Just throwing that out there. Look, guys, otherwise, if they're not going to send me their number and I'm going to pass it on to you, best place to have a look at what you guys do and get in touch, the website?
Yeah, www.harnessfinancial.co.nz. And you can book in a call with Dieter or with me, Sam, on that website. Yeah.
All right. Hey, always lovely having you in. And we actually haven't caught up for a month or so, so nice to see your smiling faces in the studio.
Thanks, Sean.
That is Money Matters for another fortnight.
Your Money Matters with Sam and Dieter from Harness Financial. To make the most out of your money, visit harnessfinancial.co.nz.